Have you ever paused to think about why some ancient texts endure while others fade into obscurity? Take the book of Proverbs, for example. Written thousands of years ago, it's still a go-to source of wisdom for many today. When you dive into its pages, you find nuggets of truth that resonate with our modern lives, even in a world overflowing with information. You might wonder, why do these age-old sayings still matter? Let's start with the man behind the wisdom, King Solomon. Often dubbed the wisest man who ever lived, Solomon didn't just accumulate knowledge, he distilled it into practical advice. Proverbs is like a treasure chest filled with insights about human nature, relationships, and our connection with the divine. Each saying is a little gem, offering guidance on everything from how to handle conflict to the importance of integrity. And let's be real, who couldn't use a little guidance in these areas? In a time when we have instant access to endless information, social media, blogs, podcasts, it's easy to get lost in the noise. We scroll through feeds, bombarded by opinions, facts, and trends that can change by the hour. Yet Proverbs cuts through that chaos with its straightforward, timeless lessons. It reminds us that wisdom isn't just about knowing facts. It's about applying knowledge in a way that enriches our lives and the lives of those around us. Take, for instance, the theme of discipline. Proverbs teaches us that discipline isn't just about restrictions, it's about freedom. It's about making choices that lead to a more fulfilling life. In today's world, where instant gratification is the norm, this lesson is more relevant than ever. We often find ourselves caught up in the whirlwind of desires and distractions, forgetting that true satisfaction comes from self-control and making intentional decisions. Solomon's words remind us that the path to wisdom is often paved with discipline, an idea that can transform our chaotic lives into something meaningful. Then there's the concept of justice. In a society that sometimes feels divided, Proverbs encourages us to seek fairness and equity. It teaches us that justice isn't just a lofty ideal, it's a practical necessity for a harmonious community. When we look around, we see the consequences of neglecting this principle. The wisdom in Proverbs pushes us to advocate for what's right, to stand up against injustice, and to treat others with respect and dignity. It's a call to action that resonates deeply in our current climate. And let's not forget the importance of living with integrity. In a world where shortcuts and compromises seem tempting, Proverbs reminds us that our character is our most valuable asset. It teaches us that integrity lays the foundation for trust, which is essential in our relationships, whether personal or professional. In a time when trust can feel scarce, these ancient words encourage us to uphold our values and be true to ourselves. So, why do these proverbs still matter? Because at their core, they tap into the universal truths of human experience. They address our struggles, our aspirations, and our relationships with one another and with God. They remind us that, despite the modern complexities of life, the fundamental principles of wisdom, discipline, justice, and integrity remain steadfast. In a world where we often seek answers in fleeting trends or viral sensations, Proverbs encourages us to look deeper. It invites us to reflect, to ponder, and to apply its timeless wisdom in our daily lives. So the next time you find yourself in a dilemma or seeking guidance, consider flipping open the book of Proverbs. You might just find that the wisdom of King Solomon is exactly what you need to navigate the twists and turns of life today. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through social media, bombarded by a flood of opinions and advice that all seem to clash? It can be overwhelming, right? In a world where every click brings another life hack or motivational quote, it's easy to feel short on real wisdom. That's where the words of Solomon come in. His insights cut through the noise, offering timeless truths that resonate across cultures and generations. Solomon wasn't just another king. He was a figure of immense wealth and power, but more importantly, he was renowned for his unmatched wisdom. When we think about wisdom today, it often feels elusive. We chase after it through self-help books, podcasts, and seminars. But sometimes the answers we seek are already laid out for us in the simplest forms. Solomon's Proverbs are more than just old sayings. They are a guide meant to help us navigate the complexities of life, relationships, and our own character. Consider this: a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. How relevant is that in our daily interactions? Think about the last time you had a disagreement with someone. Did you respond with calmness, or did you let your emotions take the lead? Solomon's advice here is not just a suggestion. It's a practical principle that can change the course of a conversation. It reminds us that our words carry weight, and choosing them wisely can diffuse tension instead of escalating it. Then there's the classic, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." This one hits home, doesn't it? In a world that often values self-reliance and personal achievement, Solomon encourages us to look beyond ourselves. It's a reminder that we don't have to have everything figured out. Sometimes it's okay to lean on faith and trust that there's a bigger picture at play. This wisdom can be a source of comfort during times of uncertainty, guiding us to find peace in the chaos. But let's not forget about relationships. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. This is a powerful reminder of the importance of community and connection. We often hear that we are the sum of the people we surround ourselves with, and Solomon's words echo that sentiment. The relationships we cultivate can either lift us up or drag us down. So, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they encouraging your growth, challenging you to be better, or are they holding you back? Solomon also touches on work and diligence. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. In a society that often glorifies the hustle culture, this proverb is a wake-up call. It's not just about working hard. It's about being intentional and purposeful in our efforts. Whether it's in our careers, hobbies, or personal development, the truth remains: diligence pays off. It's a reminder that success doesn't come overnight. It's built through consistent effort and dedication. As we navigate our lives, Solomon's Proverbs offer a treasure trove of wisdom that remains relevant. They encapsulate deep truths in short, memorable statements that can guide us through our everyday struggles. Whether you're facing challenges in your relationships, grappling with uncertainty in your career, or simply seeking a deeper understanding of yourself, Solomon's words are there to light the way. So, the next time you find yourself lost in the noise of modern advice, take a moment to reflect on these ancient truths. They have stood the test of time for a reason. Let's embrace the wisdom of Solomon and allow it to inspire us, challenge us, and ultimately guide us toward a more fulfilling and godly life. Solomon's wisdom is a treasure trove that continues to shine brightly even in our modern world. His Proverbs, crafted in a time so distant from ours, still resonate with the challenges and dilemmas we face today. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves tangled in the complexities of relationships, decision-making, or the pursuit of happiness? Solomon's insights offer guidance that feels as relevant now as it did in ancient Israel. In this video, we're diving deep into these proverbs, unpacking their meanings, and exploring how we can apply this ancient wisdom to our contemporary lives. For instance, take the proverb, "A gentle answer turns away wrath." In a world where conflict can escalate in an instant, this simple yet profound advice reminds us of the power of our words. It's a call to respond with kindness, to foster understanding rather than division. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. We'll also delve into Psalm 23, a passage that has comforted countless souls throughout history. Its themes of guidance and reassurance are timeless, speaking to our innate desire for peace and direction. And let's not forget the exploration of the 10 most powerful names of God, each revealing a facet of His character that can inspire and uplift us today. If you're passionate about uncovering these layers of meaning and want to join a community that values thoughtful discussion around Scripture, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you'll stay connected with our future content, and together, we can navigate these ancient texts, finding wisdom that not only enriches our lives, but also fosters a deeper connection with each other and our faith. Let's embark on this journey of discovery together. You know, when we think about kings and rulers, we often picture someone draped in gold, sitting on a lavish throne, surrounded by riches and power. But let me take you to a moment in history that flips that stereotype on its head. It's the story of Solomon, the son of David, who inherited a kingdom but also a heavy burden. You see, Solomon wasn't the oldest son. He wasn't the obvious choice for the throne. There was political maneuvering, whispers in the court, and perhaps even a bit of divine intervention. David, sensing something special in Solomon, promised him the throne. And when Solomon finally ascended, it wasn't just a moment of triumph. It was the beginning of a journey marked by a profound encounter with God that would change everything. Imagine this: Solomon, a young king, standing at the crossroads of his destiny. He had the weight of a nation on his shoulders, and he was acutely aware of his inexperience. It's easy to think that if you were in his position, you'd ask for wealth, power, or maybe even a long life. But Solomon, he did something remarkable. In a dream, God appeared to him and said, "Ask for anything you want." Just think about that for a second. The creator of the universe, giving you a blank check. What would you ask for? But Solomon, in that moment, showed us what true wisdom looks like. Instead of asking for riches or glory, he asked for an understanding heart. He wanted wisdom to judge his people, to discern between good and evil. It's a request that comes from a place of humility, a recognition that leading a nation is no small feat, and that he couldn't do it alone. This wasn't just a king asking for a favor. This was a young man fully aware of his limitations, admitting that human wisdom alone wouldn't be enough. And you know what? God was pleased. He didn't just grant Solomon's request for wisdom. He threw in riches and honor as well. It's like a bonus round in a game show. But the catch was clear. If Solomon stayed faithful, he would also be granted a long life. This moment is pivotal, not just for Solomon, but for all of us. It teaches us that true wisdom begins with humility. It's about recognizing that we don't have all the answers, and that real discernment comes from a higher source. This theme of wisdom runs throughout the book of Proverbs, which Solomon is traditionally credited with writing. Over and over, we're reminded of the importance of seeking wisdom, understanding, and insight. It's not just about being smart, it's about being grounded, making choices that reflect a deep understanding of right and wrong, and leading with compassion. Now let's bring this home. In our own lives, we often face crossroads where we must make decisions that impact not just ourselves but those around us. When was the last time you paused to consider what you truly need in a moment of decision? Are you reaching for the immediate gratification of success, or are you seeking the deeper understanding that can guide you? Solomon's story is a reminder that the most powerful thing we can ask for is wisdom. So, the next time you find yourself in a position of leadership or facing a tough choice, remember Solomon. Embrace humility, seek understanding, and ask for that wisdom. Because in doing so, you're not just shaping your own destiny. You might just be influencing the course of history too. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That phrase from Proverbs 9:10 resonates deeply, doesn't it? It encapsulates a profound truth that goes beyond mere intelligence or practical skills. It's about recognizing an authority greater than ourselves, acknowledging our reliance on God. Solomon, the wisest king to ever rule Israel, understood this intimately. His story is not just a tale of wisdom, but a testament to the transformative power of humility and divine guidance. Let's think about Solomon for a moment. He didn't just wake up one day with a crown on his head and a wealth of knowledge at his fingertips. No, his wisdom was a gift from God, granted to him in a dream. Imagine being in his shoes, young, newly crowned, and faced with the enormous responsibility of leading a nation. He could have asked for riches, power, or long life, but instead, he asked for wisdom. That single request changed everything. It set the stage for a reign characterized by peace and prosperity. A golden age for Israel. One of the most famous stories that showcases Solomon's wisdom is the account of the two women who came to him, both claiming to be the mother of a baby. Picture the scene: two desperate women, both convinced they are the rightful mothers, standing before the king with no way to prove their claims. In a world without DNA tests or modern science, Solomon had to rely solely on the wisdom that God had bestowed upon him. What did he do? He proposed a shocking solution. Cut the baby in half and give each woman half of the child. It sounds cruel, doesn't it? But Solomon wasn't being heartless. He was being wise. He knew that the real mother would never allow her child to be harmed. The moment he made that proposal, the truth came out. The woman who truly loved the child immediately offered to give him up, revealing her identity and securing the baby's safety. Solomon's clever move not only resolved the dispute, but also solidified his reputation as a fair and wise king. This story is more than just a clever anecdote. It's a reflection of Solomon's understanding of wisdom as a tool for justice and compassion. His wisdom was not just for his own benefit. It was a blessing for all of Israel. During his reign, the nation flourished. Peace reigned, and prosperity followed. Solomon's influence extended far beyond the courtroom. He was a master of governance, diplomacy, and even the arts. Let's talk about alliances. Solomon knew that strength lay in unity, and he strategically married Pharaoh's daughter to cement ties with Egypt. This wasn't just a political move. It was a demonstration of his wisdom in recognizing the importance of relationships. He understood that a wise leader builds bridges, not walls. Then there's the magnificent temple in Jerusalem, a project that had been his father David's dream. Solomon took that dream and turned it into reality. The temple wasn't just a building. It was a symbol of Israel's identity and relationship with God. It was a place where the divine met the earthly, a physical manifestation of their faith and devotion. Solomon's leadership and wisdom were instrumental in this monumental achievement. But Solomon's wisdom didn't just attract admiration from his own people. It drew attention from far beyond Israel's borders. One of the most notable visitors was the Queen of Sheba. After hearing tales of Solomon's wisdom and wealth, she traveled a great distance to test him with hard questions. She brought lavish gifts, but what she found was even more impressive than she had imagined. Upon seeing Solomon's wisdom firsthand, she declared that not even half of his greatness had been told to her. This moment illustrates how Solomon's wisdom became a global testament to the power of seeking divine guidance over the pursuit of worldly power and riches. However, let's not forget that even Solomon, despite his extraordinary wisdom, faced challenges. As he grew older, the Bible tells us that his many foreign wives led him astray. They turned his heart away from God, and that's a powerful reminder for us all. Wisdom doesn't guarantee infallibility. It requires continual reliance on God, a commitment to humility, and an awareness of our vulnerabilities. Isn't that relatable? We can all think of moments when we've acted against our better judgment, when we've let distractions pull us away from what truly matters. Solomon's life is a cautionary tale that wisdom isn't a one-time achievement. It's a lifelong journey. So, what does this mean for us today? It challenges us to seek wisdom in our lives, not just in the decisions we make, but in our relationships, our ambitions, and our understanding of ourselves. It invites us to recognize God's authority and embrace our reliance on Him. Let's strive to cultivate that fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom. Let's ask for guidance in our daily lives, just as Solomon did. Wisdom isn't just about being smart. It's about being discerning, compassionate, and grounded in faith. It's about understanding that true wisdom leads to a life that honors God and serves others. In a world that often prioritizes knowledge and success, let's remember that the greatest wisdom comes from acknowledging our need for God and allowing His guidance to shape our paths. Just as Solomon's reign was marked by peace and prosperity through his divine wisdom, we too can experience a richness in life that transcends mere understanding. Let's seek that wisdom, and in doing so transform our lives and the lives of those around us. You know, it's fascinating to think about the life of Solomon, the man often heralded as the wisest person to ever walk the earth. When we look at his journey, we see a remarkable tale of wisdom, power, and ultimately, a cautionary tale about the choices we make. It's almost poetic, isn't it? Here was a king who asked for wisdom above all else, and yet in his later years, he allowed his heart to be turned away from God, largely due to the influence of his many wives. It's a stark reminder that wisdom, while an incredible gift, isn't a shield against the temptations and distractions of the world. Imagine this: Solomon, with all his wealth and wisdom, surrounded by luxury, yet wrestling with a profound emptiness. That's the essence of the book of Ecclesiastes, traditionally linked to him. It's a book that reflects on the fleeting nature of life. A man who once had everything but felt like he had nothing when God wasn't at the center of it all. It's a sobering thought, really. We often chase after success, wealth, and recognition, believing they will fill our hearts. But Solomon's reflections remind us that without a relationship with God, all those pursuits can feel utterly hollow. Now let's take a moment to appreciate the wisdom he left behind in the book of Proverbs. These aren't just lofty philosophical musings. They're practical, down-to-earth insights that can guide us in our everyday lives. Solomon understood that relationships are at the core of our existence. Whether it's family, friends, or romantic partners, the quality of our relationships often reflects our wisdom. And if we're being honest, how many of us can say we've navigated our relationships perfectly? Solomon's advice is timeless. It cuts through the noise and gets to the heart of what truly matters. Take, for instance, his thoughts on friendships. Proverbs 13:20 states, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." It's simple yet profound. The people we surround ourselves with have a monumental impact on our lives. Good friends uplift us, challenge us to grow, and hold us accountable. They share our values and encourage us to be our best selves. On the flip side, Solomon warns us about the dangers of bad company. Friends who are dishonest, quick-tempered, or always stirring up drama can lead us down paths we don't want to go. It's a reminder that we need to be intentional about who we let into our inner circle. Solomon's wisdom extends beyond friendships to family and marriage. He emphasizes love, loyalty, and integrity in all our interactions. Relationships are a practice ground for wisdom, and how we treat those closest to us often reveals our true character. It's easy to be wise in theory, but living it out in our daily interactions is where the rubber meets the road. We can recite Proverbs all day long, but if we're not applying that wisdom in our relationships, what's the point? Now let's not forget the irony of Solomon's life. Here's a man who wrote these profound insights, yet in his own life, he allowed his numerous wives, many of whom worshipped foreign gods, to lead him astray. It's a cautionary tale that wisdom alone isn't enough. A relationship with God is paramount. Solomon's eventual spiritual decline serves as a reminder that even the wisest among us can falter if we're not vigilant about our devotion to God. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? We often think that wisdom will protect us from making poor choices. But the reality is that we must actively cultivate our relationship with God. It's not a one-time decision. It's an ongoing commitment. The choices we make, the people we surround ourselves with, and our daily practices all contribute to the state of our hearts. Solomon's life illustrates this beautifully. His initial request for wisdom shaped his reign and legacy, but it was his later choices that led to a fractured kingdom after his death. So, what can we take away from Solomon's story? First and foremost, let's cherish wisdom, but let's also recognize its limitations. Wisdom must be paired with a genuine relationship with God. We can read Proverbs, apply its teachings, and strive for wisdom in our relationships. But if we neglect our spiritual lives, we risk falling into the same traps that ensnared Solomon. Let's also be mindful of the company we keep. Are the people in our lives encouraging us to grow closer to God, or are they pulling us away? It's a crucial question to ask ourselves. Surrounding ourselves with wise, godly people can help us stay on the right path, while toxic relationships can lead us to make choices we'll regret. In the end, Solomon's legacy is a rich tapestry woven with wisdom, reflection, and a stark reminder of the importance of devotion to God. His life teaches us that wisdom is a powerful gift, but it's not a substitute for a heart that seeks after God. As we navigate our own lives, let's strive to be wise in our relationships, grounded in our faith, and committed to nurturing our relationship with God every single day. Because at the end of the day, wisdom without devotion is just an empty pursuit. Imagine a world where the relationships we cultivate are filled with wisdom, humility, and kindness. A world where our friends are not just companions in good times, but anchors in stormy seas. This is the essence of the profound teachings found in the Proverbs of Solomon, a treasure trove of wisdom that resonates as much today as it did thousands of years ago. Solomon urges us to choose friends who will push us to be the best versions of ourselves. It's not just about having a good time. It's about surrounding ourselves with people who embody loyalty and trust, especially when the going gets tough. Proverbs 17:17 tells us, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." This simple yet powerful statement captures the heart of true friendship. Solomon understood that fair-weather friends, those who vanish when challenges arise, are not true friends at all. Real friendships are marked by unwavering support, especially during life's most challenging moments. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves in a bind? And it's the friends we least expect who show up. Those are the gems worth holding on to. The relationships that are rare but priceless. But it's not enough to simply recognize these friendships. Solomon encourages us to nurture them with intention and effort. Relationships, like gardens, require care, attention, and sometimes a little weeding out. It's easy to take our friends for granted, but Solomon's wisdom reminds us to cultivate loyalty and love actively. When we invest in these relationships, we create a foundation of trust that can weather any storm. And let's not forget about family, which Solomon emphasizes just as strongly. One of his most famous pieces of advice on parenting comes from Proverbs 22:6. "Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." This is not just about teaching kids to behave. It's about instilling values that shape their character and hearts. Parents have a profound responsibility to guide their children with love, wisdom, and discipline. It's a delicate balance of nurturing and teaching respect. Children honoring their parents while parents provide guidance grounded in understanding. Now let's talk about marriage, one of the most significant relationships in our lives. Solomon offers insights that highlight both the joys and challenges of this sacred bond. He states in Proverbs 18:22, "He who finds a wife finds what is good, and receives favor from the Lord." This is a beautiful reminder that a loving, respectful marriage is a gift from God. Yet he also warns against contentious relationships, suggesting that it's better to live in a small corner of the roof than with a quarrelsome spouse. The wisdom here is clear. A successful marriage is not solely built on love. It requires patience, humility, and a commitment to work through difficulties together. Moving beyond relationships, Solomon's wisdom extends into the realms of work, success, and wealth. For him, success was not the ultimate goal, but a means to honor God and live with integrity. In a world that often equates success with wealth and status, Solomon provides a refreshing perspective. He emphasizes hard work, honesty, and a balanced attitude toward wealth. Yes, success and wealth can be blessings, but they come with responsibilities and temptations that require discernment and wisdom to navigate. Consider the ant, a creature Solomon uses to illustrate the value of diligence. In Proverbs 6:6-11, he advises, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise." The ant, with no commander or overseer, works tirelessly to gather provisions for the future. This simple yet powerful image contrasts the industrious ant with the laziness of a sluggard, urging us to develop self-motivation and foresight. It's a call to action, reminding us that success comes not just from talent, but from hard work and preparation. The wisdom of Solomon teaches us that life is a tapestry woven with relationships, responsibilities, and the pursuit of meaning. Whether it's choosing friends who uplift us, nurturing family bonds, or approaching our work with diligence and integrity, we are reminded that the choices we make shape our lives. Solomon's insights encourage us to reflect on the kind of relationships we cultivate, the values we instill in our children, and the way we approach our work and success. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, the wisdom of Solomon provides a guiding light. It urges us to seek out those who embody the qualities we aspire to invest in our relationships, and to approach our responsibilities with intention and care. The teachings of Solomon are not just ancient texts. They are timeless principles that can help us navigate the complexities of life with grace and purpose. So, as we go about our days, let's remember the importance of loyalty, kindness, and humility in our relationships. Let's strive to be the kind of friends who show up in times of need, and the kind of parents who guide with wisdom. Let's embrace hard work and integrity in our pursuits, remembering that true success is measured not by wealth, but by the impact we have on those around us. Solomon's wisdom is a roadmap for living a meaningful life, one filled with love, purpose, and a commitment to the greater good. Imagine standing at a crossroads, where one path is paved with shortcuts, quick fixes, and fleeting pleasures, while the other is rugged, demanding diligence and integrity. This is the essence of Solomon's teachings in the Proverbs, a wisdom that transcends time, echoing through the ages, urging us to take charge of our lives and prepare wisely for the future. Solomon doesn't just tell us to work hard. He invites us to embrace hard work as a reflection of our character, a discipline that naturally leads to success. In Proverbs 10:4, he writes, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." This isn't merely about accumulating riches. It's about the kind of wealth that enriches our lives and the lives of those around us. It's a reminder that success is not a mere destination, but a journey paved with consistent effort and purpose. Solomon's wisdom teaches us that diligence is not just a task to check off our lists. It's a lifestyle. It's about cultivating habits that nourish our growth and align with our values. But let's unpack that a bit more. When Solomon speaks of diligence, he isn't promoting a mindless grind for the sake of busyness. No, he's emphasizing the importance of intentionality in our actions. It's about working hard with integrity, knowing that the fruits of our labor extend beyond financial gain. The true rewards of diligence manifest in personal growth, fulfillment, and the capacity to uplift others. When we approach our work with purpose, we find that the satisfaction we derive is far richer than any paycheck could ever convey. Yet, in our pursuit of success, Solomon offers a crucial warning. In Proverbs 23:4-5, he cautions us against the dangers of obsessing over wealth. Do not wear yourself out to get rich. Do not trust your own cleverness. Cast but a glance at riches, and they are gone. They will surely sprout wings and fly off to the sky like an eagle. This vivid imagery serves as a powerful reminder of the transitory nature of material wealth. Even Solomon, with all his riches, understood that money is not a solid foundation for life. It can vanish as swiftly as it arrives, leaving us with nothing but emptiness if that's where we've placed our trust. So what does Solomon propose instead? Balance. Hard work and wealth are indeed good, but chasing after money at the expense of everything else can lead us down a path of spiritual and moral decline. It's a delicate dance, one that requires us to prioritize our values and maintain perspective. And then there's the concept of generosity, which Solomon elevates to a cornerstone of true prosperity. In Proverbs 11:24-25, he states, "One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." This flips conventional thinking on its head. It's not about hoarding wealth, but sharing it. Generosity creates a ripple effect, blessing not just the recipient, but also the giver. It's a profound truth that goes beyond finances. It speaks to the very essence of what it means to be human. When we give our time, our talents, our energy to help others, we reflect the divine generosity that acknowledges everything we have is ultimately a gift. It's a reminder that our lives are interconnected, and in lifting others, we often find ourselves lifted in return. Conversely, those who cling too tightly to their resources, be it money, time, or even compassion, often find themselves feeling empty, regardless of their material possessions. Solomon also warns against the pitfalls of greed and dishonesty. In Proverbs 13:11, he cautions, "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." This is a stark reminder that wealth gained through unethical means will ultimately lead to our downfall. The allure of quick riches may be tempting, but Solomon encourages us to earn our wealth in ways that honor God and respect others. We live in a culture that often glorifies the hustle, the grind, the get-rich-quick mentality. But Solomon's wisdom challenges us to embrace a different mindset, one that values steady, honest accumulation of wealth. True satisfaction comes not from shortcuts, but from the journey of hard work, integrity, and patience. Reflecting on Solomon's teachings, it becomes clear that success isn't merely about material gain. True success, according to Proverbs, is about living a life filled with diligence, purpose, and generosity. It's about understanding that our efforts today shape our tomorrows, and that the character we build through our work is far more valuable than any amount of money. So, as we navigate our own paths, let's take a moment to consider: are we working hard for the right reasons? Are we nurturing our character and the well-being of those around us? Are we balancing our ambitions with a heart of generosity? Solomon's wisdom invites us to reflect deeply on these questions, to embrace diligence not just as a means to an end, but as a way of life that enriches our souls and the lives of others. In doing so, we can cultivate a legacy that transcends material wealth, rooted in the enduring values of integrity, purpose, and generosity. Imagine waking up each day with a purpose that transcends the mundane. What if, instead of seeing work merely as a means to pay the bills, we viewed it as a way to honor something greater than ourselves? Solomon's teachings invite us to adopt this mindset, encouraging us to see our daily labor as a sacred act. It's not just about clocking in and out, it's about contributing to society, building a life filled with meaning, and ultimately serving a higher calling. It's a revolutionary way to think about wealth too. Solomon challenges us to view it not as the ultimate goal, but as a tool, a means to bless others, or conversely, a trap that can ensnare us in greed and pride. Wealth can open doors, but it can also build walls. The choice is ours. Now, let's talk about words. Solomon understood something profound. Our speech holds incredible power. Just think about it. The words we utter can heal or hurt, build up or tear down. They can reflect the wisdom we carry or expose our foolishness. Solomon's Proverbs are filled with insights about the importance of thoughtful communication. For him, our words are not just a way to convey information. They are a reflection of our character, a window into our hearts. When we speak, we reveal who we truly are. He recognized that words carry weight, and how we use them can have lasting effects on ourselves and others. Consider Proverbs 18:21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. This verse encapsulates the essence of Solomon's teaching. Our words can breathe life into someone's spirit, or on the flip side, they can cause destruction. They can inspire, comfort, and heal, or they can wound, deceive, and divide. Solomon's message is clear. How we speak truly matters. In every conversation, in every debate, and even in conflicts, the words we choose carry immense power. They shape our relationships, mold our reputations, and influence our spiritual health. But here's the kicker. Sometimes wisdom lies not in speaking, but in knowing when to stay quiet. Solomon emphasizes this in Proverbs 10-19, where he reminds us that sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues. In a world filled with noise, where people often speak without thinking, he highlights the virtue of restraint. Talking too much, especially without careful thought, can lead to trouble. It can lead to gossip, slander, or saying things we later regret. Solomon's advice to hold our tongues shows a deep understanding of human nature. Silence, when wielded wisely, can prevent misunderstandings, calm conflicts, and demonstrate self-control. Sometimes there's more wisdom in listening than in speaking. Speaking of gossip, Solomon strongly condemns this harmful misuse of words. Proverbs 16:28 warns us that a perverse person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. Solomon understood the destructive power of gossip. It doesn't just tear apart relationships. It destroys trust and fosters division within communities. While gossip may seem harmless or even entertaining, it ultimately reflects poorly on the person spreading it. Choosing to avoid gossip and steering clear of harmful conversations is a true sign of wisdom and integrity. Let's shift gears and talk about honesty, another cornerstone of Solomon's teachings on speech. He places immense importance on telling the truth and warns against the dangers of lying. Proverbs 12:22 states, "The Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy." For Solomon, honesty isn't just about being morally upright. It's a reflection of our relationship with God. When we lie, whether to gain something or to avoid consequences, we ultimately harm ourselves. Dishonesty can corrode our integrity and erode the trust others place in us. So, what does all this mean for us today? It means we have a choice. We can choose to see our work as a way to honor God and serve others. We can choose to use our wealth as a tool for good rather than a source of pride. We can choose to be mindful of our words, recognizing their power to uplift or destroy. We can choose to practice restraint, knowing that sometimes silence speaks louder than words. We can choose to reject gossip and embrace honesty, understanding that our words reflect our character. Solomon's wisdom is timeless. It calls us to live with integrity, generosity, and balance. It challenges us to be intentional in our speech, to build up rather than break down, to promote truth, peace, and righteousness. As we navigate our daily lives, let's carry these lessons with us. Let's honor God in our work, contribute positively to our communities, and choose our words carefully. In doing so, we not only honor the teachings of Solomon, but also create a life filled with purpose, connection, and meaning. So, as you go about your day, take a moment to reflect on how you can embody these principles. How can you use your work to serve others? How can you ensure your words uplift those around you? Remember, the power of life and death is in the tongue. Let's choose wisely, speak thoughtfully, and live with integrity. After all, Our words and actions have the potential to shape our lives and the lives of those around us in ways we may never fully understand. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where honesty felt like a double-edged sword? You know, that moment when you're faced with the choice of speaking the truth or keeping the peace? Solomon, the ancient king known for his wisdom, had a lot to say about this very dilemma. His proverbs are not just ancient sayings, they are timeless truths that resonate even today, guiding us through the complexities of human interaction. Let's talk about honesty first. We often hear that honesty builds trust and strengthens relationships. It's a cornerstone of integrity, and Solomon emphasizes this in his teachings. The truth is, when we speak honestly, we align ourselves with what is right and just. But here's the catch. Honesty isn't just about the words we say. It's also about how we say them. In Proverbs 15:1, Solomon tells us that a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. This is profound because it highlights that truth must be balanced with grace. Imagine you're having a heated discussion with a friend or a family member. You can either deliver your truth with kindness or let your emotions take the wheel and respond harshly. We've all been there, right? When we choose to speak our truth in a gentle, thoughtful way, we create an atmosphere of understanding and peace. Conversely, when we let our tongues lash out, even if we're technically right, we can escalate tensions and deepen rifts. Solomon's wisdom challenges us to be both honest and compassionate, reminding us that the delivery of our words can either build bridges or burn them down. Now let's shift gears and talk about moral discipline and conduct. Solomon understood that wisdom isn't just about accumulating knowledge, it's about living a disciplined life. This is where self-control comes into play. In Proverbs 12:1, he states that whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid. Ouch! Solomon doesn't sugarcoat it. He's making it clear that accepting correction is essential for growth. Think about it. None of us are naturally inclined toward righteousness. We need guidance, correction, and accountability to steer us in the right direction. Without discipline, we're like a ship without a rudder, susceptible to the currents of life that can easily lead us astray. Solomon's teachings remind us that discipline is a gift, one that helps us become better versions of ourselves. Self-control is crucial. In Proverbs 25:28, Solomon writes that a person who lacks self-control is like a city whose walls are broken through. This imagery is powerful. Just as a city without walls is vulnerable to invasion, a person without self-control is exposed to temptation and downfall. It's not just about resisting external pressures, it's about managing our impulses, desires, and emotions. And let's not overlook the role of humility in all of this. In Proverbs 11:2, we read that when pride comes, then comes disgrace. But with humility comes wisdom. It's a reminder that staying grounded and open to learning from others is essential for moral discipline. When we approach life with humility, we're more likely to accept correction and embrace growth. So, what does all of this mean for us in our everyday lives? How do we apply Solomon's ancient wisdom to our modern-day challenges? It starts with being intentional about our words. Before we speak, we should ask ourselves, is what I'm about to say true? Is it necessary? And most importantly, is it kind? Engaging in honest conversations doesn't mean we have to be blunt or harsh. We can choose to speak with love and compassion, creating a safe space for dialogue. This applies not just to our relationships with friends and family, but also in professional settings and with strangers. Our words hold immense power. They can uplift or tear down. They can heal or hurt. Moreover, we must embrace the discipline of self-control. This isn't just about resisting temptation in the moment. It's about cultivating a lifestyle that values integrity and wisdom, setting boundaries, being accountable to others, and reflecting on our actions can help us align our lives with the principles that Solomon espouses. And let's not forget the importance of humility. Life is a journey of learning, and we won't always have the right answers. Being humble means recognizing that we don't know it all, and being open to the lessons that come our way, whether they're delivered through our own experiences or through the insights of others. In conclusion, Solomon's Proverbs offer us a roadmap for navigating the complexities of life. They remind us that honesty is vital, but it must be tempered with grace. They teach us that moral discipline is essential for true wisdom, and that self-control and humility are key components of living a righteous life. As we engage with these teachings, let's strive to choose our words wisely, act with integrity, and foster relationships built on trust and understanding. After all, the wisdom of Solomon is not just for ancient times. It's a treasure trove of guidance for our lives today. Pride. It's a sneaky little beast, isn't it? It creeps in when we least expect it, whispering sweet nothings in our ears, convincing us that we're invincible, that we're above reproach. But let's take a moment to reflect on the wisdom of Solomon, who warns us that pride blinds us to our own mistakes. It erects walls around our hearts, preventing us from seeing the truth about ourselves. When we're too proud, we can't learn, we can't grow. We become stagnant, stuck in our own little bubble of self-importance, unable to accept the fact that we might just be wrong about something. But then there's humility. Humility. It's like a breath of fresh air, isn't it? It opens us up to correction and growth. When we embrace humility, we acknowledge our flaws, our shortcomings, and our need for discipline. It's not about beating ourselves up or wallowing in self-pity. It's about recognizing that we're all on a journey, and sometimes that journey requires a little course correction. Humility allows us to accept that correction without resentment, to see it as a gift rather than a punishment. And you know what? Humility and discipline go hand in hand. They work together like two dancers in perfect harmony, keeping us on the path to righteousness. They remind us that we're not alone in this journey. We have mentors, wise and godly figures who have walked this path before us. Proverbs 13:1 tells us that a wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a mocker doesn't respond to rebukes. Let's be real here. We all have those moments when we think we know better, when we roll our eyes at the advice of those who care about us. But Solomon's teachings remind us that rejecting wise counsel is a clear sign of foolishness. Think about it. How often do we dismiss the very advice that could lead us to a life of wisdom and blessing? It's easy to get caught up in our own opinions, our own desires. But embracing the guidance of those who have gone before us is essential for growth. It's about being teachable. About listening to the voices that have wisdom to share. Whether it's a parent, a teacher, or a spiritual leader, those voices can guide us through the murky waters of life. But let's not forget the bigger picture here. Solomon's teachings on moral discipline extend beyond our personal growth. They touch on how we treat others. Proverbs 21:3 tells us that doing what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. This is a powerful reminder that true righteousness isn't just about our relationship with God. It's about how we treat our fellow human beings. It's about living a life that reflects God's justice and mercy. Moral discipline means treating others with fairness, compassion, and integrity. It comes from a heart that is in tune with God's will. When we're humble, we're more likely to see the needs of those around us. We become more aware of the injustices in the world and feel compelled to act. It's a call to live a life that reflects the love and grace we've received. Now, let's pivot a bit and talk about leadership. Solomon wasn't just a wise man. He was a ruler who applied that wisdom to govern a nation. His Proverbs give us priceless insights into what makes for strong leadership. It's not about power or personal gain. It's about serving people with fairness and humility. Solomon teaches us that true and lasting leadership is built on righteousness. Proverbs 16:12 states that kings detest wrongdoing, for a throne is established through righteousness. This principle isn't just for kings. It applies to anyone in a position of authority. Whether you're leading a team at work, guiding a ministry, or even managing your family, the call to lead with integrity and justice is universal. Leaders driven by greed or dishonesty will ultimately tear down the very institutions they're meant to protect. It's a sobering thought, but it's a truth we must grapple with. Leadership is a sacred responsibility, and those in power must lead with a strong sense of justice. Solomon also emphasizes the importance of wise counsel in leadership. Proverbs 11:14 tells us that for lack of guidance, a nation falls, but victory is won through many advisors. Even the wisest leaders need input from others. It's a reminder that collaboration and humility are essential in leadership. Surrounding ourselves with trusted, knowledgeable advisors allows us to govern effectively. And let's not overlook the relationship between leaders and their people. Proverbs 29:2 states that when the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. Solomon understood that the well-being of the people is directly connected to the righteousness of their leaders. A good leader brings joy, stability, and prosperity, while a corrupt leader causes misery and unrest. So, what does all this mean for us today? It's a call to embrace humility, to seek out wise counsel, and to lead with integrity. It's a reminder that we're all on this journey together, learning and growing, making mistakes, and picking ourselves back up again. It's about recognizing that true wisdom comes not just from our own experiences, but from the collective wisdom of those around us. Let's strive to be humble, to listen, to learn, and to serve. Because in the end, it's not just about us. It's about the impact we have on others and the legacy we leave behind. Let's choose the path of righteousness, guided by the timeless wisdom of Solomon, and make a difference in our world, one humble step at a time. Leadership is a concept that often gets tangled in the web of personal ambition, power plays, and the relentless pursuit of success. Yet, when we peel back the layers, we find that true leadership is not about personal gain. It's about creating a space where justice, peace, and growth are possible for everyone. This understanding is not merely a modern notion, but is deeply rooted in ancient wisdom, particularly in the teachings of Solomon, who cautioned us against the perils of pride in leadership. Proverbs 16:18 serves as a powerful reminder. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. These words resonate with a timeless truth. Leaders who are consumed by pride and believe they are above correction are headed for disaster. Solomon's wisdom calls for humility in leadership, reminding us that even the most powerful leaders are accountable to a higher authority. This accountability is not just a formality. It's a grounding principle that can guide leaders through the complexities of their roles. Humility helps leaders stay grounded, listen to others, and lead with wisdom and grace. It fosters an environment where collaboration and understanding thrive, allowing for the flourishing of ideas and innovation. When leaders approach their roles with humility, they open themselves up to feedback, recognizing that they do not have all the answers. They acknowledge the value of diverse perspectives and create a culture where every voice matters. Now let's delve deeper into one of the central themes of Solomon's teachings, the fear of the Lord. Among all the themes in the book of Proverbs, none is more foundational than this. For Solomon, the fear of the Lord is not just another concept to consider. It's the bedrock upon which all wisdom is built. Proverbs 1:7 famously states, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." This verse sets the tone for the entire book, making it clear that the fear of the Lord is the starting point for any real pursuit of wisdom. But what does it mean to fear the Lord? And why does Solomon emphasize it so much? The fear of the Lord, as Solomon describes it, isn't about being terrified of God in a way that drives us to hide from Him. Instead, it's about cultivating a deep sense of awe and respect for God's power, holiness, and authority. It's recognizing that God is in control of all creation, and that His wisdom far surpasses our own. To fear the Lord means to humbly accept our dependence on Him. Understanding that true wisdom comes from aligning our lives with His will. This kind of fear isn't paralyzing, it's liberating. It leads us toward a life filled with righteousness and blessings. Throughout Proverbs, Solomon continually revisits this idea, underscoring that the fear of the Lord is key to understanding everything else in life. In Proverbs chapter 10, he reinforces this connection. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Here, Solomon links the fear of the Lord not only to wisdom, but also to a personal relationship with God. Wisdom, as Solomon teaches, isn't merely about making smart choices. It's about knowing who God is and living in sync with His character. The better we understand God, the clearer our perception of what it means to live wisely becomes. This understanding shapes how we view the world, how we treat others, and how we make decisions. Living in the fear of the Lord brings great rewards. Proverbs 22:4 tells us, "Humility is the fear of the Lord. Its wages are riches and honor and life." Solomon understood that a life grounded in reverence for God leads to true prosperity, not just in terms of material wealth, but in the richness of living according to God's plan. The fear of the Lord brings peace, security, and a deep sense of purpose. It teaches us to trust God's wisdom rather than relying solely on our own limited understanding. Solomon's message is clear. When we put God at the center of our lives, everything else falls into place. The fear of the Lord also acts as a protective shield. Proverbs 19:23 tells us, "The fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble." Those who live with reverence for God can navigate life with confidence, knowing that God watches over them. This doesn't imply that life will be devoid of challenges, but it assures us that those who fear the Lord can rest in the knowledge that God is guiding them through every trial. Solomon's wisdom is not passive. It demands a response. It challenges us to step away from the distractions and trivialities that surround us, and to align our hearts with the eternal truths that have shaped lives for millennia. This wisdom is not merely to be admired from afar. It's a call to action, a challenge to embody the values of humility, discipline, and reverence for God in every aspect of our lives. Solomon's words act as a mirror, reflecting our deepest longings for purpose, peace, and meaning. Now the choice is ours. Will we merely listen, or will we dare to live differently? Today, let's make the decision to seek wisdom as Solomon did, with an open heart and an undivided spirit. Let these proverbs be more than ancient sayings. Let them be the foundation of a life well lived, where each step is guided by the fear of the Lord, and each decision is rooted in integrity. This journey is not for the faint-hearted. It's for those ready to embrace something deeper, something lasting. If this resonates with you, I invite you to take a bold step. Commit to growing in wisdom and aligning your life with God's design. Share this pursuit of wisdom with others, and together, let us walk the path that leads not only to knowledge, but to a life of enduring significance. As we reflect on Solomon's teachings, let's remember that leadership is about serving others, creating an environment where everyone can thrive, and recognizing that we are all accountable to something greater than ourselves. Let's lead with humility, embrace the fear of the Lord, and strive for a life that reflects wisdom, justice, and peace. Together, let's cultivate a legacy of leadership that is not measured by personal gain, but by the impact we have on the lives of those around us. Let's be leaders who inspire growth, foster understanding, and ultimately embody the principles that Solomon so passionately shared with us.